I'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Chris Buckman,
Yes.
Brandon Earl,
Here.
Andrea Kreifels,
Here.
Jason Newberry, Deanna Garver,
Here.
Tom Henning,
Here.
Pat Zico.
Here.
An adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Are we raising hands or are we saying aye?
It's whatever you want.
Oh, I thought, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay. Recognition of patrons and staff? Okay. We'll start with discussion items. Wellington High School land acquisition requests.
Yes, let me introduce Tim Kerr and Ryan Kerr, who have contacted the district and interested in some property that the district currently owns. So, gentlemen, come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for your time. My name is Tim Kerr. This is Ryan Kerr. We're business partners at Reese Nichols, South Central Kansas. We're commercial brokers in town, and we're representing an entity that would like to propose to you a sale of land out in front of your high school, actually, along the highway. It's a quick service restaurant concept, and they have other stores in some of the areas around Wellington. And the need would be about a strip of land 100 feet wide by about 175 feet deep or so. So that's about 4/10 of an acre to about a half an acre, somewhere in that ballpark. As we were driving along that section, we identified a spot that would be next to Casey's that might be a good option for that. And just wanted to come and see if that might be something that you would consider and answer any questions that you might have about the concept, the location, or anything else.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
My standpoint on this, I'm just one of 7 here, but the land for the high school was a gift, a donation from a member of the community, and I personally don't feel that we should sell that. Now, would they be interested in leasing, or is it if they can't?
Land lease would be something that they would consider.
Okay.
Where exactly?
Yeah, so I don't know if we have anything that, I have some overheads. Not sure if I have enough for everybody. But the overhead that you have shows the picture of the school. And I'll just leave over here if that's okay. And this is the Casey's, so we're looking right here.
Oh, okay.
The patrons were going to come. She's actually running in a marathon in Chicago, so that's why they weren't here. So I'm gonna pass this out. It's a scooters is what's looking to build. So that might help you with it, being familiar with what it is. And this is it's not on the site that we're proposing, but this is what it would potentially look like as far as the layout of it.
Yeah. Make this available, but I would do.
There's one in Drury just behind behind Casey's. Yeah. You guys like Casey's? Do they like Casey's?
They're building in Winfield right now. They're looking at Bel Air. They have a spot located.
There's several I know, but I just,
Yeah.
that one behind Casey's. Which is the front, which is the back?
Yeah, that's what it's for.
It's not
Thank you.
set right, but it would probably go with that. So that would be the highway there.
It's the husband and wife. This would be their 6th location. So it's not a startup by any stretch. So they know what they're doing.
Are they looking at any other, like any other property in town in case this wouldn't? I hate to turn down a business that wants to come to town.
Right now, this is their first choice. We've given them multiple locations. They're very particular about which side of the road they're on because of the type of business that they are. So this is the correct side of the road,
I could see that.
and we've looked at multiple locations, but this is what they've
Yeah,
identified as the
first
site that would
choice,
work
yeah.
the best, yeah.
I hadn't thought about what, Tom said, but that, I don't know if that would be an issue or not. Anybody else? How soon are they thinking about doing it? I mean, if, just say we, lease the land or gain the land, how soon are they thinking to start?
They have a process that they go through with scooters, so they would have to have them come out, do traffic counts, do a site plan for that space, design it, build it, but I would say that they wanna get on it right away. Their Winfield one's just about done, as far as construction, and this will be the next one if you guys go forward.
And we think it's gonna be in the way of anything we're trying to do there with the football stuff.
I don't think so, because the football stuff is more than realistically gonna
back.
stay on the south side of that tree line right here. So you're pretty far away from there. Just, you're gonna open yourself up to, okay, we got one here, now someone wants one here, and at what point do you draw the line of, we're done adding businesses to the school property? I mean, I agree with Pat, we don't wanna say, it's nice to see a business wanna come to town.
Agrees with me, because he doesn't. I think it's something to consider and talk about at least, I hate to away business, you can always say no to the next business, I mean.
We're happy to answer questions. I mean, I know that you're just kind of getting this and digesting it, so you'll probably come up with questions after we leave, and we're happy to, answer those via email.
Sure.
through the
If this doesn't work out, have they reached out to economic development?
We haven't yet.
Okay, that'll be probably the next step. I mean, if it doesn't work out for what we have, I mean, that's another partner out there that will probably know of land or something that may work also, but you're right, we don't want to turn the business down, but I see it depends on also.
It just seems wrong for someone to gift the land and then the school turn around and sell it. That's just kind of a slap in the face to me.
In a long time.
What are the, I'm not familiar with scooters, I'm sorry, what are the hours of operation of the business?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you, but typically it's gonna be your typical coffee shop type hours. So they would open early in the morning, 6:30-ish, it's primarily drive-through. And then they'd be open until, 6 p.m. at night. So they might adjust it based on, if this is in front of a school, you have events, they might wanna stay open, But in general, you think of a coffee shop and when they'd be open, that's when they typically would be running.
So do we want to find out more information, like about trying
think
to lease
so.
it, or?
I
Yeah,
personally,
for sure, yeah.
I personally would like that.
And I can reach out to potential gifting, to see if there's any issues there, like if that would be a sore in their side or whatever. If you'd like me to.
Okay.
You might just run it by somebody like that, traders.
Yeah, first preference would be to buy. If that doesn't work, we understand. Second preference would be land lease. And third would be a different location. But I appreciate the time and hearing us out, and if we can answer any more other questions, let us know.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Do we have,
We need to make this available, I mean,
Yes.
to the public, so,
Yep.
I mean,
Get
it's
it out.
Google Map, but we'll need to.
okay, the next item is athletic facilities update.
Yes, Brett is back and ready to continue the discussion with the board after making adjustments that the board had talked about last month.
Thank you, I'm like a bad penny, I just keep showing up. Yeah, last time I was here, I got my homework assignment, and the first thing is it will fit north and south. And I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be tight, but they said, the architect ran all the numbers and stuff. To answer that question, it will fit north and south. And then what we also did is we moved the restrooms and the concession stand and stuff over to the home side as well. And again, all this stuff can be moved around when you really get into the details. But the big question was, instead of running at an angle, if it go north and south, and it will fit. There'll be a lot of dirt work to do there, but it will, but it's doable, right? And that was the main thing. The second thing was to put dimensions on everything, on the existing stuff, and I think you guys have that. So all these dimensions should be lined out, so it kind of tells you about how big it is. And again, when you get into the nuts and bolts, we can shrink these down, we can expand them, whatever fits your guys' pistol. And then we broke everything down so you kind of see a shopping list of what the stuff cost. So if you don't want to do that, you take that off. If you want to add something, you can do the math. But the big thing was that it will fit north and south. So with that, questions?
I've got a question.
Okay.
Okay, not to totally derail what we talked about on the old facility.
Uh-huh.
One of the ideas I'd had, and I never heard why it wouldn't work or if it would work or if it was a bad idea, was picking up the bleachers and scooching them closer to the field to open up the room behind the bleachers.
These
And
bleachers?
that, would that get us able to get everything in one? Because obviously the problem with the expense there is you got 3 separate,
You can't have
Locations.
separate buildings.
You do.
That adds on expense.
and so if you can do that in one building, I think, and maybe utilize some of the room under the top of the grandstands.
There's not enough.
Slide this down maybe, slide this down here, building a bigger building here.
No, moving it closer to the field because there's a huge
this
gap.
way,
There's a huge
back here.
gap between the front of the bleachers and the field. Like if there was a track going to run there, can we scoot that closer?
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
the crowd closer,
yeah, you sure can.
and then fit those 3 facilities into one building the length of the grandstands and still have room for everything.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Bad idea.
yeah. I'd wanna really, before to answer that, to absolutely, yes, anything's possible. What I'd want to do then is see exactly how far it is from here, and then see how much room we got back here, and then kind of lay this out again. But yes, that is, yeah,
Aren't
it's
they
an
kind of
option.
butted up against there now?
What's that now?
Aren't the bleachers butted up against that fence pretty much right now?
No, there's a gap. There's probably 15 foot,
Yeah.
I believe. And then we have so much room in front of that, if we can scoot those forward, and then as the bleachers get higher, you pick a height and figure out, can you?
You can, absolutely you can.
There's way too much concrete in the first place ever.
Well, no, the bleachers, they're just pyloned.
No, I mean, in front of the bleachers right now,
Oh,
there's
yes.
so much concrete.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how that ever came about, but that wasn't.
Yeah, there's the
That's
bleachers
way-
themselves are only sitting on pylons, so
Yeah,
that wouldn't
right,
be.
in front of them, it's
Yeah.
just concrete like crazy.
You know, yeah, absolutely answer, you can't question Tom, absolutely, and we can check into that, we sure can. The main exercise for this thing is, it's gonna be over $5 million to do this, and it's gonna
Right.
be, $5 million to do this, kind of which way do you guys wanna go, before you really start spending a lot of time on either option. That's kind of the process of this, the outcome of this is kind of which way you guys really wanna dive into the details. If you think this is the way you go, then we'll spend a lot more time kind of laying this out and massaging this and working this instead of spending time over here.
Right.
Well, that's what we need kind of decide which way.
Well, I think that's a taxpayer's decision. It's not really us.
What about, lots of people have mentioned, well, we had a plan at one time to build locker rooms. Originally it started out to be in the junior high parking lot. And then Jason the city started talking about it. And so it was gonna go where everybody parks, across the bridge, where everybody parks to the south of the tennis courts. And then, I don't know, Whitener left or whatever, it just got dropped. But that's a really great idea because it's one building. It can be used by lots of different people. It's a lot cheaper than what we're talking about, these 3 buildings. Or the talks have been around out there to buy the houses to the north of the tennis courts and put a facility there. It doesn't have to be inside the field necessarily.
That's for you guys to decide.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll work, do whatever you guys, want, but, you guys kind of need to give us some direction or kind of which way you wanna move. And then we'll move that way.
So what do we all see in the next step being? I mean, taxpayers, I mean, I think we do need input, but I mean, what do you think of what's that mean?
Find a way to get a poll out there that's not easily manipulated, like 50 Gmail accounts created to vote this way. I really don't know
Well,
the
can
answer.
we do it like we've done bondage at a new school and things, just by,
You know, here,
going to clubs and meetings and donor shops and, how we've got other school
we,
facilities built?
I got a suggestion. This is just a suggestion, and again, I don't have a dog in the fight, but we've had extremely good success with sending out a survey. We have a gal, her name's Shelley Kiplinger, that puts together these surveys for us for like when we do a bond issue, if you will. And the feedback we get is phenomenal, and so far we're about 100% if you listen to the survey. What I would suggest is for us to come down, talk to the facilities committee, and put a survey together that says, okay, the cost is gonna be about the same, whether we stay downtown or we go out there. What would you guys really like to see? Anyway, you could draft up 4 or 5 questions. We can send out that survey and bring that back and say, the survey says. She'll email it to every registered voter, work with the school to get it out. It's pretty cool.
What's the cost on that?
Just an idea, huh?
What's the cost on that usually roughly?
For you, Brandon, we'll do it for free.
I like that idea.
Tom, we charge it, but for you, Brandon. We do that again, it's complimentary because we're working with you guys and it's something that we do. Yes, there is a cost associated to it, but, we try to, we're in it for the long haul, not the short dime, we're in it for the long nickel. And so we usually do that as a complimentary service. But there is value to that and it does cost us, but it's something we offer.
Do we have to have new turf? Do we have to have turf?
No, I think we talked about that. It takes.
I mean, we need somebody new right now, starting football season's over, to start taking care of our field better. It's awful.
I think it needs to be shaved down or at least trimmed down to flatten out again.
Well, the grass, I mean, nobody's taking care of the grass anymore. It could look just like the baseball field if we took care of it like we used to.
Again, this is my opinion, we do work all over the state and, just pick on your neighbors in Sumner County. They have a Bermuda field and they take care of it. And to me, it's one of the best. If you don't put turf in, I definitely put Bermuda. Because when it gets tore up by the kids and by the games, it grows back.
That's what we've always had here is Bermuda, and it's been beautiful, and it's
Yeah.
been,
And it stands the heat, that's the
but
thing.
we haven't taken care of it the last few years.
You guys have an irrigation system on your
Yeah.
field?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing,
Steve Gill and Roger Stovall took care of it for
yeah.
quite a few years, on their own, and they started asking the school for some help, and for some reason we wouldn't give it, I guess. After talking to them, that was the first year, so they just quit.
So are we interested in doing a complimentary survey?
Pardon me?
Are we interested in doing the
I
survey?
think it's our
I
next
think
I
step.
think it's crucial.
Yeah. Okay.
If you guys are interested in the survey, I'm just gonna tell you, I would pick 2 or 3 people, not 7 or 8, because it just won't, then you'll have 40 questions. But, I can get Shelley down here with Kelly or Mr. Hatfield and you guys come up with a group and we'll draft a question. You guys draft the questions and then we can send that out and,
Do we have to show anybody those? Because I think if you're looking at redoing the new field, and you're looking at that doesn't look good.
well, Kelly texted me Saturday morning and said, could you spruce these up a little bit to make them look as cool as this? The answer is yes, but not a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We just can't get it done from the draftsman to the printer and here on Monday. But again, this exercise is really to see, you guys want to stay downtown or do you want to go out to the high school?
So not any suggestions on what they're gonna look like, just here or there.
Right.
No, yeah, it's all about dollars. You're gonna spend about the same
No,
amount of
I
dollars.
don't, I don't think we need less money in on it. I mean, because I don't want to, I don't think it's fair to say, this old one's gonna cost 5 million and the new one's gonna cost 5 million. Hey, which do you want? Because then redoing the old one might not be 5 million if we don't go to AstroTurf. If we put a building out in the park or the parking lot, that's gonna cheapen up a lot. Because
Maybe,
the one we had was $450,000.
maybe.
Showers in a pavilion, for the picnics in the park. It had, things the city could use. It was like $450,000. And it just is nice. So I think we need to decide some of those kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm looking at your numbers that you gave us, and I'm trying to wrap my arms around them. And you're telling me that a concession stand is gonna cost over $1 million. So I'm not sure how you got to that million. What's all entitled into that
Well,
million?
it's, again, these are very conservative numbers. And I'm gonna tell you that probably 6 years ago, we built a new concession stand, restrooms. That's all it was in Hill City, and it was 450 grand. And that was 6, 7 years ago. The thing about it is you guys just can't look at don't just look at the square building. There's so much dirt work, there's so much utilities, there's all this extra costs that go into that. I'd rather tell you it's $1 million and it cost you 800,000 instead of me telling you it's gonna be 400,000 and it's 700,000. You're gonna be mad, the community's gonna be mad, that's a bad deal for everybody. So these are conservative numbers. Again, those numbers are based on the square.
Conservative makes me think that they're on the low end. If I'm being real conservative, I'm gonna give you the low what I think it's gonna be. I'm being real conservative.
No, you want the other way around, Pat. I mean, because,
I see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
to me, that's what the word conservative means. So am
No.
I using it wrong?
yeah, you are. Conservative in this instance is you wanna be higher because when the costs come in, you don't wanna go over that threshold, that higher number. You wanna be below that.
Right, I know, I
So our
just.
numbers
I
are
think
gonna be
we have-
conservatively high.
Right,
So on the concessions, you're putting the restrooms in the concessions, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd have to go back and look.
Yes.
Then with the locker room, it's almost 1.6. Is that with showers, without showers? I'm not
Nope,
quite sure.
these are all showers. That's where teams can sit and meet.
see, that's what we said last time, we didn't need that part.
The showers?
No, I mean,
Oh.
they've got
No,
brought
not
up
the
about
shower, the big
rooms.
meeting room, didn't we all kind
yeah.
of say that? That we didn't need the big meeting room.
Okay, Pat, I get it, but this is just based on a square. So based off of our historical data, all the stuff that we've done, we've taken this square footage and came up with those numbers being conservative. As far as getting into the weeds and you don't need this, yeah, if you guys wanna stay downtown, let's cut this off. But you can do the math, the square footage and say, we don't need that, you can take off $200,000 or $300,000. That make sense?
But the big expense is having 3 different buildings because you've got to have your water there.
I totally get it.
Yeah, so I think that's what we,
I agree with you 110%, and I think Tom's on to a good idea. If we can scoot everything towards that field, maybe just build one building. You cut down on all utilities, you cut down on all the dirt work. I mean, the cost will go down absolutely if you're building one instead of 3. You're absolutely correct.
yeah, I think we need to check that 3 thing.
But the only thing that my word of advice is to, I mean, if you wanna go down this path, that's fine, but you're gonna spend all this time and all this work, and then all of a sudden the survey says, we don't wanna do that, we wanna go out here. Well, then you just burn up all this time and all this expense by developing this plan.
Another thing, another fact that should weigh is if you move everything if we redo everything, it's gonna be years down the road. Where just to get a locker room and that is gonna be much quicker. I mean,
No matter what you do, it's gonna be a couple of years, Pat.
a couple is a lot more than these 3rd graders finally getting a locker room.
I think if you told me to start today, we could have either option downtown or out there done in a couple of years.
It's all gonna rely on a bond issue more than likely. We don't have the money to.
But if you just go with an outside facility and build that, then all you're gonna have left in your field is to, some dirt work, take care of the grass, do grass. You're gonna have to do like a new ticket booth, a new entryway. That's not near millions and millions.
I bet you'd be surprised if you built the locker rooms and fixed the field. I bet we still don't have the money.
But I'm talking about locker rooms outside of the field.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think when they talked before, weren't they talking just about a Morton building, putting up a Morton?
It was kind of
building
like that, kind of like,
out there.
it had,
remember
I
right.
think it had like, some, kind of like the new auxiliary building. The new gym, doesn't it have stuff on the outside?
I think it was a dressed up Morton building.
Yeah, yeah.
How much did the gym cost over at the middle school, you remember?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know. I don't have that number in my head. Sorry,
That-
but I can find out.
I was just, when you said that, I was just wondering how much.
And I'm talking.
But yeah, similar. I've dressed up Morton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, that's what the
Yeah.
locker room would just be a dressed up Morton building to cut down on the cost.
And I think that's
stuff.
how that was designed. It's a Morton
Yeah,
building.
it
It has
had-
the stone and stuff on the
Yeah,
outside.
I've asked Cole before, he can't find it, he thinks he gave it to Dr. Whiteman. So, but I'm asking if he could get another one.
Yeah. Whoever drew it up for him, hopefully still.
Yeah, what else was I saying?
And on the new stadium, people are confused. There's not gonna be locker rooms at the stadium. We're using the high school locker room.
That's
They're-
correct. That was-
They're confused, thinking that there's
That-
locker rooms gonna be
No,
at
that
the
was,
stadium.
that's
So that
the,
needs to get out there that,
yeah, that's the plan, that they were gonna just go over to the high school.
Yeah.
Go back and forth.
And really going from that field to the locker room, it's the same distance as going from the field now. Basically, across the bridge somewhere, wherever you put it. But,
So is the board comfortable with the facilities committee making up the questions or coming up with the questions, or do we want to do that, like, put in our own questions, or, cause he's wanting just a couple people on it?
Well, I just think if you get too many people
Yeah.
on it, it's too many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. I'm not gonna tell you, if you guys wanna have 7 people, you can, but, you obviously do whatever you would like, and we'll accommodate whatever. I'm just saying that we've had better results with a smaller group. What the deal is she'll come down, she'll visit with you guys, and the people that aren't selected for the committee, send your questions in. And then they can go through them and develop a list of questions and then send it out. It'll take her a couple, 2 or 3 weeks probably to get the questions put together with you guys whenever you guys can meet. And then it'll take a month. We let the survey run for about 3 weeks. So everybody has a chance. We also will send it electronically, and then we send it out also paper. So a lot of patrons, especially the older generation like me, would rather fill out a paper questionnaire than, so you get a good cross section. I think it's a good place to start anyway, at least kind of help narrow down a direction. I mean, we could keep coming back here month after month and changing this down to cutting this off and adding a little bit to that and
no, it needs to be narrowed down quickly to what, here or there, that's the number one thing, is we start working on something. That's number one thing, is narrow it down, where you going, in my opinion.
The survey is a great idea. I think that, we've been talking about public feedback. That's where we're headed anyway, so that takes care of that. It all comes down to if we want visuals to go out with that survey, so people are looking at something when they're answering the questions. So that's why we've kind of been heading in this direction to try to get to that place where we can send out for feedback with something to show people.
I think it's as simple, keep it in the park or move it to the high school. You start throwing out numbers that don't know, you have no idea what the numbers are, because you have no idea what you're gonna do. That's gonna scare some people off, that's gonna, and that's how people are gonna vote. They're gonna vote whether they want it in the old place or if they wanna move. They're not gonna, some of course look at it at the cost, but that's what we want the feedback, in my opinion, that's what we want the feedback on. Do you wanna keep it in the park, Wellington, or do you wanna move it to the high school.
You're
But
saying,
I
you're
do
saying
those-
you prefer to do it without photos?
I would, yeah,
Okay.
cause we don't really have
And I
any
think
really.
it probably just needs to be that one question.
I know,
I don't think it needs to be too much more than that.
that's all we really wanna know, cause once we get that answered, we can start on it.
I would like to see, if we did absolutely nothing with facilities and just fix the field, just the dirt work, you have to redo the
Just the
irrigation.
field,
How much would that cost? Just
Okay.
leave it grass,
just
make it,
take that crown off.
Make it
rework-
normal.
You'll have to rework the irrigation system, reseed it, put reweed in it, call it a day.
We have to have locker rooms first. And that's been on our plan. It has though, it's been on our plan for 8 years. 8 years.
I agree.
And so, forget the field, it's working. If we're gonna go here or there, we have to do locker rooms. You know how embarrassing it is? It is so embarrassing. We're the laughing stock of anybody. 8 years and we still don't have locker rooms.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I guess we're gonna go with this.
Okay. Just to summarize,
Yeah.
homework assignment is, we'll get Shelley, so we'll set the meeting.
Yep.
Uh,
Would Shelley be able to meet with the facility committee? Would that be possible?
Yep, absolutely,
We can set that.
okay. I'll get that set up, I'll email you and Kelly, and get that set up, and then we can develop the questions, and then I'll work on, what it costs to, just redo the dirt, the field.
Has there been agreement to survey without pictures? Just to start
Yeah.
off with?
And just one question.
Good, good, okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you. That's all right.
Okay, next is the building rental agreement.
Yes, yeah, Bob and JJ are here. This came up recently. We've had an increase in requests from private teams that are, right now we schedule obviously USD 353 activities, and we also schedule rec activities within our facilities. And recently, well, it's happened over the years. This is not the first time or anything, but recently we've had more club volleyball type teams or NAYB basketball type teams contact the school wanting to be a part of that. And we have not had a clear focus on how to handle that situation on our building rental agreement. And so that topic came up, and Ellie and JJ and Bob and I got together and discussed that, and came up with the option of adding that into our building rental agreement. Currently, the building rental agreement, the prior building rental agreement was set up basically for events. So you rent out the WHS gymnasium for an event, or the Lincoln Multipurpose Center, or one of those things, but not really, it didn't really fit long-term teams wanting to practice, because obviously they're not gonna pay $250 a night to have a practice. So we went to the drawing board on that and came up with some language that is in on the agreement now, and basically it is $250 for a team to rent gym space for the month, and that would give them 2 hours, 2 practices a week for 2 hours each, and that would obviously last a month from month to month, essentially is what it would be. So that was essentially where we got in our talks, and so we put that on form and wanted to get that to the board for discussion to try to meet those teams' needs if they're interested. Obviously, those teams are using not only wear and tear in our facilities, but also cost of lighting and HVAC and all those things. So that come along with that. So anyway, that's just up for discussion. That was the end of our discussion, and so wanted to put that out to the board and see what thoughts were.
On number 8, where it says the renter agrees to obtain appropriate liability coverage for the activities if warranted.
Yes.
So they're not gonna have their own coverage, is that what
No,
you're
they would have
saying?
their own coverage, is what it's supposed to be saying.
Yeah, but it just says if warranted, so,
Oh, if warranted, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, we can take that off. No, we would expect them to have their own.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it $20 per hour say my basketball team rents it for $250 a month, is my $20, then I still pay $40 a night.
For the custodial,
Yeah.
so the biggest issue is that would be charged on the weekend because we do not have staff there on the weekend. During the week, the staff is already there to let people in and out of the building. Custodians are there into the evening. It's more if they schedule on the weekend, because then somebody has to go up and be a part of that. So that would probably only be charged on Saturdays and Sundays.
So for the teams renting it, if you use it for the week, that would, might need to add that in there.
Okay, that language?
Yes, I don't think we will.
Custodial language. Thank you, Pat. Okay. Anything else on that? Does the board feel like that's a fair rental for a month for a team?
It's high to me.
I think it's about going right.
Okay, so I have, if warranted taken out, of number 8, those 2 words, and then, adding language in for the custodial fee of, upon the weekends that would come into effect. So, does anybody have any other changes besides that? Okay. We have requests now, so the board is welcome to either, take action on that with us, upon us making those changes, or you're welcome for us to bring this back next month and we'll just work with those teams between now and then. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I can send you back out a fresh copy either way. I'm fine with bringing it back next month too.
If people are waiting, I don't see. Do we need to discuss anything more on it? Would waiting a month change anything?
This says rental fee per day.
Yeah, that's for the event. That's why we put $250 per
Oh,
month
so
down in
The
the
month part's down below somewhere.
for the gyms for team practices.
Do we wanna wait until next month, have them bring it back, or are we comfortable making a,
I'm personally comfortable going forward with it.
I'll make a motion to go forward with it. For what we have here.
got a motion?
I will second the motion to accept the new rental fees for the school properties
With the recommended language changes.
with the recommended changes. Yeah, actually, that should be Brandon.
I'm sorry.
Language changes.
Sorry, Brandon.
I got it. You want?
I make a motion
Sorry.
to accept this with the recommended language changes.
Thank you.
And I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those that disagree?
Thank you.
Okay, next, long-term substitute teaching universal leave.
Yes, there has been discussion in the district about our substitutes. We have some substitutes in the district that are hired full-time to cover open positions. And so some of them are essentially working just like our teachers as far as schedule. And obviously they also have their families to take care of. And so that we were requesting for possibly to be able to offer them 5 days of universal leave for the year. That would not carry over. It's just part of this substitute teaching position for this year. And then they would also be available for the COVID leave that was discussed in negotiations for the 5 extra days if needed in case of a COVID situation. So we're requesting that to be able to grant to and we would give that to them immediately upon approval. Just for those teachers who are filling open positions.
So what about a teacher that is filling in is, because a teacher filling in for a position, have we had some that they're going to school and then they take that, then they, are they considered substitutes filling in a position, or are they considered
They're kind of tweener people. They're working on their certificate. I know that Daniel has some in special education that are getting regular teacher leave, I believe, so this would be the other people who are
So
just covering.
those people that, they get the full, they're working on a regular teacher's contract?
Mm-hmm. If they're enrolled through a program, like a limited apprentice license on a waiver because they have a teaching license already and now we're adding an endorsement of special education, they are on the teacher contract.
What if they don't have they have a degree, but
That'd be
That's
the
the same
limited
thing?
apprentice
that's
license
the
there.
same thing?
Mhm. There has to be an agreement that we're gonna hire them in that education position.
Yeah, so these are just subs covering for those other positions. Just looking for discussion or want to head in that direction to support those people.
Well, I think we discussed it one time, just instead of a raise,
Yeah.
instead of raising them, pay for subs, we would give them the 6 days. So I make a motion that we allow those kinds of subs to have 5 days.
I'll
Personal
second it.
leave, whatever you call it. Universal leave.
Universal leave.
Got a motion, and Chris, did you second? it?
Yeah.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much. We will get that in our system.
okay, next, district enrollment.
Yes, so every October, the board gets an update on enrollment because we have our September 20th count through the state. And so we are up 22 students on the school year. And so that's good news for this year. And really that's just out there for informational purposes. That will head into our principal building reports, which then feeds into our superintendent's report, which then goes on to the state for auditing. So we're all in the middle of that process. That can change through auditing just a little bit, but it's never very much at all. So that should be pretty accurate. So, but we're up 22 students, and so just wanted to report that to the board and the community. That's positive news for our district.
Now, out of those 22, are any of those the, like, in-district preschool children? Okay,
Those are all K-12 kids. Good question, thank you. So really nothing more on that, just wanted to report that out to the board.
okay, next we have administrative reports.
Spot. Guys have any questions for these guys, or you guys have anything you wanna announce that's not in your report?
I have one, and I keep talking about it almost every meeting. The electricity at the high school, it was almost $83,000. Do we know why? I mean, we went from 30, 40, 18, 35, 40, now we're at 83 per month. So, you know why?
I don't, it is,
I know that I've talked to several students, and they say at the high school they're wearing hoodies and coats because it's so cold. I don't know if they've commented to you about it, Mr. Nance, or not.
The temperatures are, and I guess inherently cold, but they're at 73, 72 in the classrooms. With the windows in some of our classrooms, like Mr. Willis or Mr. Green's old room, Mr. Jenkins is now, that room fluctuates because of all the windows that are there. So we had our, in August or September, our air conditioners went offline due to a lightning strike. And it was 78, 80 degrees in there. He had to open his window because the light comes in and heats that room up. So I know that those rooms on the south side of the building are at this time probably set a little colder to keep that from them getting too hot. There are other things that might, just things I've noticed, they're building lights in the building that don't shut off. So there are rooms that have lights on, one, maybe two, on 24 hours a day. There are lights in the hallway that don't shut off. There've been a lot of events at the building, and so on the weekends, you'll see, the air conditioner scheduled, when there's, events going on, so that might be the increase you're seeing, this month. So,
I've been on the board for 2.5 years and I've never seen it at $83,000. It's just a total shock. And can you give me an update on the phone?
Yeah, we are online with the high school and most of the middle school. And then they are currently have some sort of switch fix that they're working on for Kennedy and Lincoln. And I believe for the other two buildings, and we would have to pay the company in order to get on with phone with those particular buildings, is the update I got. The high school, Mike said, we've hired, we're trying to keep HVAC people on staff. I know that he told me that he has most areas set at 72 during the day, and then 68 when it's hot out, heating at 68 and air conditioning at 72, and that, they are doing the best I can is the reports I get. But specifically looking into the 83, I can try to do that and see what I come up with. I'm all for, besides hiring HVAC guys and them setting them at appropriate temperatures, I'm all for, suggestions and discussion to try to, figure it out. It is a massive building, but at the same time, if that's not appropriate, then, we need to know. So,
Why would it be so cold? Those temperatures don't sound cold, but you're keeping it at. And I know, kids are really cold.
I don't know, I think that's cold.
Huh?
I think that's cold.
What'd you say?
72 is what he has me.
I think that's hot.
You're sitting in the classroom, I think that's cold. My daughter says she's freezing all the time.
I know, yes, yeah, they're cold.
When you're sitting,
72 doesn't sound
for the
cold to me.
teacher up teaching, it's not as cold, but it's 72.
Maybe we can fluctuate the temperature and go up a little bit on them.
We try.
Just to see.
I thought that's-
$83,000 is huge.
I thought the system at the high school, basically, it's running all the time. So whether it's making heat or making air conditioning, it's running the same. It's really not gonna help.
Yeah, but if everybody's cold, then we can lower it a degree or two and see what happens and see if everybody gets hot. And,
John, you see
what
if students walk around with jackets or sweatshirts or,
I don't see them jackets on, they wear hoodies and sweatshirts, but
that's
they also
usually a
wear
good
leggings.
thing.
These are the same students that show up in January with
That's
shorts
true.
on.
Right,
It's
they
not
wear,
cold.
they wear leggings and shorts with their hoodies, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Every place I've been, students wear hoodies year round.
For sure.
So,
What about the sewer at Kennedy?
Yeah, that got fixed. Our last in-service day.
What about the doorbell at Lincoln? And the doorbell that doesn't work at Lincoln, is that on any list to get fixed?
Probably not.
The buzzer to get.
Yeah, the buzzer to get buzzed in at Lincoln.
And I know that the secretary preferred the knocking over the bell, but that's why I haven't put any order in, and I know I need to keep my secretary happy, so that's kind of why that was that way. Don't tell your mom I threw her under the bus. I had a question about the fast bridge testing. So on the admin report, it said that the opt-in out, opt-out form was sent out, like the survey, and only 1/3 of the students took the assessment. And did I read that right? Okay, so my question is, I didn't realize Fast Bridge was interrelated with is it Sabres?
Yeah.
What is that? Cause I opted my child out for the Sabres, not for a Fast Bridge assessment.
So the other Fast Bridge assessments, all the academic ones your child would have taken. But the Sabres one is
Okay.
also Fast Bridge, and it's a social emotional survey.
Okay, so like when you sent out the results of this, what is it? Is this all social emotional stuff, or is this like their Fast Bridge, where
So,
they're at? I see you did the math and the reading, but
right,
it's only for kindergarten and first. Did I read all this right?
No, it should have all of it.
Or are you just saying kindergarten to first grade data is listed below these results because they
Yeah,
do
I
not?
had to put them below because they don't take the A rating and A math, they take early reading.
So are these, so all the students took a Fast Bridge assessment, just a
Yes.
third of them took the Sabers?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Is there any way, like when these surveys come out, because the state of Kansas is requiring these, that we do these, like, can you tell us when the assessments are gonna be? So
Sure.
just, I
Yes,
mean,
we have them scheduled, so.
I think parents would like to know when our kids are being assessed, and if they're being, did you take a survey today? I opted you out, did you take one today? I would like to know these things, so, cause I think these surveys are just kind of a normal part of their daily routine at school, and they're not coming home saying I took a survey, cause it's just normal, so.
Just like a testing calendar.
Yeah, so just something, more information for parents to know what's going on.
We have, I know on the website, we have all the assessments that the district gives and everything, but I agree, I'm not sure it has dates on there.
Yeah,
so
I
we
can
could
put
add-
dates
Yeah,
on
we could add that on there, that would be good.
We usually will do that right at the beginning of school,
You'll do what?
the Fast Bridge assessments. And then we'll do it in the spring, and then we have a winter one.
Okay, and then these Sabers things are intermingled in?
The Sabers is only at the beginning and the end.
Okay.
That's right, right?
And what does that actually do? That just gives the district an idea of what's going on inside the home? And in their life?
It's not just that, but it helps the teachers to help the students if they're having any kind of issues at school or behavior or just emotional anxiety, anything like that. Just gives them a heads up.
Do all grades through 12th grade take Fast Bridge?
Okay, that's all I had on that.
Good.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Can we see these scores again in January? Because last year we had asked them later, just make sure we see after they give them.
Yeah, it would probably be better to see the spring. The winter is kind of a weird score because some of those things haven't been taught yet, but they're still on the Fast Bridge test.
Are they still on like right now, the
So-
ones they just took now too?
The ones, this is,
Yeah, so it's the same thing kind of.
Yeah.
So you can still see,
yeah,
you can say the same thing, you can still see.
Great little post.
we can easily add that.
And I have one more question about the student-led conferences. Is that at the middle school and high school, or is that at all schools?
You guys want to explain what you're doing this year?
They're different.
We've been doing them for quite a while at the high school.
Mhm.
And we've seen our parent participation rate increase greatly. And so students use the things they learn in CrewCon to talk about what careers they're looking at, their grades, because they do grade checks, and some of those other things. And they lead that conference, talk with their parents about how they're doing those grades. They're done at the high school.
Same thing, similar with the middle school, participation's much higher with the student-led conferences, as opposed to when we just had an open conference set up. So, same thing, we use nighttime at the end of the day, which is kind of like the crew con, so they could talk about their, Zello, individual plan of study, and everything else that they're doing, what's going on in their classrooms, their schedules for the day, and report grades and how they're doing, so, same thing.
So at the high school, middle school, do they receive a grade for it? So if their parent doesn't show up, what happens?
So our goal is 100% completion. We know we have parents that don't make it, and so no, there's no grade attached to it. What we do for that is say, I didn't get mine complete because my dad was working and I couldn't come. Then the principal sits in on those, or one of the counselors, and we carve out time during the day for them to do that, so they have the chance to talk about themselves and how they're doing. Someone they're comfortable with at the high school level. And then And we get that done. We also have our teachers on their plan reach out and see if they can't reschedule those before we move on and do those with another adult in the building.
Similar in nature, it's not a grade, but we do have a rubric. Go over and kind of evaluate how their performance is, just to let them know, but it's not for a specific grade. And then same thing, we're shooting for 100% participation. If somebody can't show, then we'll make arrangements to reach out to those parents and find an alternative as far as the date, time, so.
Bob, have all your teachers signed or sent out things for conferences?
Say again.
Have all your teachers sent anything out for conferences? Because I don't think Layla's received hers yet.
They should be. That was addressed. It was sent out in the weekly update. As far as we have a spreadsheet that we all use,
Sure.
and then they should be sending dates and times home. So
Okay.
What about the elementary? Are we still doing student led there?
We don't have student-led conferences per se. Some students do attend with their parents and they can visit together about their grade and their behavior and so forth in the class, but we don't have a system like they do at the middle school or high school, at least at Lincoln.
We don't either. It's just the traditional parent-teacher conferences. And same thing, students are allowed to come with their parents if they want to, and they're allowed to talk if the parents want them to.
I think we need to make sure we give Ryan Ewing a great big thank you for finding that grant.
Yeah, it was great. We got that last year too. It was
Yeah,
really-
I remember that
really
last year,
cool.
but yeah, that's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I did have a question.
Yeah, we just got that on Friday. We were really excited.
Oh, I know my question. We added several, I'm never gonna think what I'm say. It's not your core class, what are they called? Let's play this game here. Electives, it never comes to me. We hired several teachers a few years ago to, for some electives because we needed this lower class size or something, Jason said. So do those teachers have a curriculum?
On which electives are you talking about?
Really several, I don't wanna like name them out because that name's, you know.
Well, there's
Is there a curriculum that goes
business
with
classes, there's
Yeah.
business curriculum that they use. I'm not sure it's a specific curriculum that's been purchased by the district, but they can look up state standards and kind of import a curriculum. if
So
you wish.
we give them material, and it seems like it's been different every single year in this couple of classes.
For business or for ag or for?
Well, one's business, I know. I'm not sure if the other one is. I've had 3 kids in it 3 years in a row, and it's different every single time. And the teacher tells them, they're just a elective class, so they make up their own stuff. Which
They
doesn't sound
have,
good to me.
they have materials and then they just have to meet those standards so they can pull the materials that they want to do. So it may be different kinds of lessons, but it would cover the same standards for students to learn.
If we have one of the substitutes that we're talking about that's just filling in, do we monitor them? Do we watch them? Do we see what they're doing for their curriculum?
As far as evaluation or?
Well, just to make sure what they're teaching.
Well, if you're speaking specifically of business, so last year, like Karen Cornejo, she was the business teacher. So at the beginning of the year, I had her train the new business teacher in what she was using last year. So that should be consistent. So as far as being in the classroom and watching, I'm in the classrooms every day, Opti myself. So as far as that, now speaking specifically on the entire curriculum, yeah, I know she's using what Mrs. Cornell gave her, but as far as going through each standard, I would say no at this point, but I can certainly find out.
I just know we added those. They're saying they don't have, they're just kind of there.
Okay.
That shouldn't be
We'll
different
adjust
every year.
What's that?
It shouldn't be completely different every year.
Right.
And
Yeah, and that doesn't match up to Bob, so we'll have to check on
Yeah.
that and see what that says. The only position that was added was one of those business positions. The other positions that I think you're talking about are ones that we have, the position was there, but we changed it to something that connected directly to the high school. is one of our goals, and so like the ag teacher.
Yeah.
That would have been an elected teaching position that did something at one point, and then whenever that person left, we hired somebody that connected directly to the high school, so ag would feed directly into, so they can do the intro classes in the 8th grade level before they go up. So we've done that a few times over the last few years, so.
I just want to make sure they have a curriculum.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It sounds like they're picking and pulling, like,
Yeah.
to fill their curriculum.
Yeah, but one of the business teachers was a new position at that time.
Okay, we're ready to move to executive session.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel for 10 minutes to include Adam Hatfield and the administrative team. Regular meeting will resume at 7:11 p.m.
A second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All opposed?
I did.
Okay,
No, I did raise my hand, I'm sorry.
okay.
I thought you did.
I don't think you need to do this assignment.
We're back from executive session and no action was taken. The next item is negotiations.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss negotiations to include Adam Hatfield and the executive team. Regular meeting will resume at 7:21 p.m.
Sure you don't want 8 minutes or 7? I move we get up.
I already moved, you gotta second it.
Okay.
We got a motion and a
You made
second.
the motion. Oh, yeah.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
I can never find ink pens. I just found this little hidden compartment in here that apparently I need.
We're back from executive session and no action was taken. And now we have an action item of the negotiated agreement.
Yes, the negotiated agreement has been ratified by the teachers and presented to the board for action.
Make a motion that we approve the negotiated agreement for the 2022-2023 school year.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, next is the consent agenda.
Approve the minutes of the September 12th meeting and September 19th special meetings. Approved payroll and bills. Payroll $1,006,809.91. Bills $454,439.22. Approve the new hires. Kimberly LaFever, para at Kennedy. Patrick Mitchell, maintenance, central office. Cheryl DeHaven, library aide, high school. Approve resignations. Kaylee Custer, district secretary, central office. Ann Barkley, para, Eisenhower. Sierra Walker, para, high school. Tanya Cliffman, para, high school. And Caitlin Patterson, para, high school. And approve the transfers position changes. Halen Page from high school para to district secretary at central office. Eric Pitts, high school custodian night to day lead custodian. Tyson Eldridge, high school custodian day lead to night lead custodian. And Adam Hatfield to attend the AASA, the School Superintendents Association, National Conference on Education, February 16th through the 18th, 2023 in San Antonio, Texas.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Okay, board member comments. I'll start with Chris.
I don't have anything tonight.
I don't have a ton. I was reading on Bob's thing about the catching kindness. I think it's a great thing, especially kids that age coming through middle school, and it's a really good thing to teach them. It's a hard time for kids, but and all the sports going on. I see the girls tennis, golf tonight. So, excellent job.
Cross country's looking good. I love watching them run.
I don't have anything.
I don't either. You guys have
High school esports had a win today, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was against a 259.
Wichita?
Wichita.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Was that their first?
They had a win last week too. So
Did they play somebody like out of state?
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was
Like 4-0 or
Yeah,
7-0 or
Somewhere like
Cool.
Michigan or something.
let's see. Illinois.
Well, I think we might,
No, I thought it was Michigan.
I kind of feel like we're following the Jayhawks because we're winning and we have this great new coach. And we're gonna announce this new field, so just like.
Right?
Okay, that's it. This meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Good.
I talked to him last night.
Yes. Yeah, it's on the cross.
Exactly, that's exactly what.
Here, I'll have to act like that at home.
I bet you're.